So open microphone, the microphone is open, and it's there, and there, and what is the open microphone for? Come talk about any issue that has been talked about during the week. Matters discussed during policy development that you think we should talk about. Matters to do with policy development, matters to do with AFRINIC governance, matters to do with number resource allocations. Any question you have about any presentation, the board matters, community, NRO, NEC, ICANN, SOSE, the meeting in particular, anything you want to talk about, the microphone is open. I would like to request maybe Alan, I don't know, and maybe one of the board members to come up and be able to take the questions from the community. Thank you, Alan.
Hello everybody. This session is for the community to engage with the board. So I would like to invite any board members who are here, please, to come and sit in the front so that the board can interact with the community. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, members and community. On behalf of the board, as the chairman, we started I think 2 years ago or 1 year ago. My name is Christian Bope, chairman of the board. We have started to discuss with the community because we have realized that the community might have many questions, and we always give the community the opportunity to interact with the board directly. This is the purpose of this session, which means that if you have any burning question, feel free to ask, and the board will try to provide explanation. If we don't have it right now, what we do normally is to note your question, and we see how we can address it. Just before we start, I will just give like 30 seconds to each board member to introduce himself, and after that we'll proceed. Thank you.
My name is Serge Lunga. I'm from DRC, and I've been elected as an independent member.
My name is Alan Barrett. I'm appointed as the CEO of AFRINIC, and I serve on the board in that role.
Okay, I'm Shion Ojedeji, Vice Chair of the board, and elected as an independent board member.
Esmond Sami, I'm serving on the seat for the Indian Ocean region, and I'm on the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. As you can notice, the AFRINIC board is composed of 9 members. We have Professor Habib. He is not physically present due to some professional responsibilities, and we also, by the way, Professor Habib is representing North African region. We do also have Mr. Vika, who is representing Southern African region. Him also, due to professional responsibilities, he was unable to make it. and we do have 2 vacant seats which the board is intending to fill, just to give you the full picture of board composition. I think on this note, I will now open the floor for question. Thank you. Please. Should I?
Hi, I'm Luhan from the Risk Cloud Service. A couple of comments I want to make. First, I'd like some good job for the board to be doing for past period. There's a lack of personnel, and the board definitely performed what I expected, and I told Bob himself yesterday, and thank you for the good job, and I would appreciate it if the board carry on with stable management to AFRINIC and steady growth for the internet in this continent. Second point is I want to make a clarification on the ESA policy discussions. As I talked to Alan later on, that I understand my speech about AFRINIC's 4 million budget and 55 peoples might misinterpreted as I'm thinking AFRINIC is a rather less competent organization. I would like to clarify I have no way to meaning that. I respect AFRINIC, I respect every staff members, and I think AFRINIC is a great organization. What I'm trying to say is AFRINIC might not capable of indirect fight of some of the national organizations, but that is not an undermining, that is more of a reality presentation. The third part is the question I just arrived with, which Alan said I wasn't asking the right time, and I think that now is the right time to ask why the member list wouldn't get published. It's a common practice among all the IRs member lists get published with which region they came from. You can find the member list in RIPE website, in APNIC website, but it was in AFRINIC website. It's not easy to find. It would exist like an Excel file with the member status, but it has been removed, I believe, some time ago, and I was wondering if we can keep publish it or publish it in a better manner. And also the fourth question about the current website. The current website has a huge amount of broken links with Google search engine. The navigation of the AFRINIC website wasn't great, let's be honest, in first place. So many times I'm relying on typing keyword. For example, I'm looking for a policy proposal. I will type AFRINIC policy proposal in Google to direct me to the right page in AFRINIC website, but now it's getting very complicated, and some pages are broken, and especially the most important thing is the Google is not properly updated, and that can be fixed through Google Webmaster. You just need your IT guy go to Google Webmaster and host and fix all their search results links, and that can be fixed manually. So I would appreciate if AFRINIC get to that as soon as possible. And the last question I have is about the new fee structure. That when will we plan to implement this? Because this has been going on discussion for a very long time. Are we expected? I don't think a 2019 implementation would be reasonable. Well, 2019 fee is already paid, right? So the 2020 implementation or the year after? Does the board has any ideas on its timeline when we will decide to implement new fee structures? Thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much, Lou. Okay, on Lou question, members, anyone want to comment? Alan, please.
Yes, I think I can comment on most of those. Chair, would you like me to take as many as I can?
Yes, please go ahead.
On publication of the member list, I will check with my legal advisor whether there's any barrier to publishing the member list, and if there is no barrier, then we will publish it in the future. On the website, I'm aware of very many broken links. It's dreadfully embarrassing to me. I'm very sorry. My web team is working as hard as they can to correct it, and we note your suggestion that the Google Webmaster tools may help. Thank you. On the fees timeline, I think someone else should answer that.
Okay, on the fees, I will give the floor to SM. Sorry. SM chair of FINCO.
The Finance Committee discussed about it. Okay, it's a committee of the board, and our target is July 2019. This is why we are having this discussion now about it.
So the fee will be implemented in 2020. You hope it will be implemented for 2020 year charge.
It's going to start to apply as mid 2019, but for existing members, it's going to take effect in 2020.
Okay, thank you.
That's where the membership has to be reviewed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Merci, merci, Monsieur le Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will express myself in French. I have a few preoccupations. Some of them have been already mentioned by certain speakers before me, but I would like to precise effectively all the question of the website. I would like to congratulate AFRINIC just for the traduction of the website. This is a big step. Unfortunately, we have notes. Unfortunately, the not well working of the website. There is too much broken links. I think, to my opinion, we can't work with amateur beginning in the beginning way. This will not reflect the good image of AFRINIC. I would like and I wish that the website should work better and presented in a better way, or the ideal would have been to keep the two sites, the old one and the new one, until the new one has been ameliorated and updated. I think, to my opinion, this could have been the wise decision to be taken. My second point would be also to congratulate again on the board for all the efforts in this exercise. Please advise if it is a normal mission for the departure of this responsible. Is it no one resigning, or he has been asked to resign? I would like the board to answer this question, please. We have seen also the presentation of different members of the board, but honestly speaking, because I have been late, but I haven't seen any in the presentation that talks about a planning, an action plan. Normally, with evolution that we know all about AFRINIC and the local association about these resources, we should have a real and concrete plan of action and perspectives for AFRINIC. Also, I would like to mention the number of the sponsor that we see on the screen. Traditionally, we used to see many brands and many names of the sponsors. Today we see just a little few. I'm not really saying things about the sponsors, but I believe that when we come to participate to an event as important as this one, it's very important to see the number of the sponsors they come and support this event. Is it the fact because the board did not good work of propaganda, and why? And why, if it is the case, why why the board did not send us a feedback, and if there is any person behind this absence of sponsors, we would like who and why. Thanks, Arnaud. You have asked many questions. I would like to answer your question regarding the perspective, future perspectives and action plan. Logically speaking, this discussion should take place in our GMM in front of the members of the board, because now the action plan we have to 16 to today, which is ongoing. I would maybe answer that during the next GMM of next year, many answer would be given to your questions. I would like to give the floor to Ashun, Vice Chair. Maybe he is better placed than me to answer your question regarding the sponsor. I would pass also the word to our Chief Executive Officer for answer. Thanks.
Name was attached to asking about the 2020 implementation of the fee review. I hope that can be corrected. That was Lou asking that question. Now to your questions, Arnold. Yeah, the board member, our former board member, Dorcas, was not asked to resign. So I hope that would, because I hope the interpretation was correct, because you were asking whether she was asked to resign, or was the circumstances behind her resignation. So it was a personal decision that she made. I can assure you that it was she was not compelled to do so, and it was a decision of her personal making. Nothing in the board gave her any impression that she should resign. So I hope we can leave it at that. And I hope it answers your question. On the activity plan, the action plan, we have the strategy document, which is going to live until 2020, and we look forward to annually develop activity plan. So the one for next year will hopefully, maybe with the budget, it will probably, some information will be published. It is still under discussion within the board, and you may see some useful information by that time. However, Finance Committee, they do publish quarterly reports of it looks like SM pressed his own and then mine went off. So Finance Committee do publish quarterly report, and you can actually get an idea of some of the finance related activities that is happening within the year. And of course, there's always the annual report, which you can also make use of. Thank you.
Okay, I know one of your questions was about sponsorship. Why do we see so few? The AFRINIC staff approaches potential sponsors to encourage them to sponsor these events, and we did that as usual this time. Unfortunately, many of our regular sponsors were unable to sponsor us this time. I don't know that there's any particular reason for that. Essentially, you know, we approach them the same as usual, more than once, to encourage them to sponsor, because I believe that it's very useful to have multiple sponsors. I agree with you on that.
Okay, please go ahead.
Merci, Shalkawi Al-Gharis. I am Thank you. I'm Shakrawi Laurisa from Morocco. I'm going to speak in English, of course. My last question during our meeting. Well, my impression first being this is the first AFRINIC meeting, I really like it. I would like to make a feedback. The academic world is absent almost. I haven't met anybody from universities and from research level. In fact, being a teacher, I know that academics and researchers can play an important role in the field, and in AFRINIC exactly. Then, I haven't seen any project developed by AFRINIC and shared on university networks or with university networks. I can give you an example on PV6. I think that developing PV6 in our continent, in order to make it successful, it has to go on small grids or small networks. This is only possible via university schools, university networks. This is the way we will obviously connect on a wider scope, connecting countries and regions. IPPV6 component or IPv6 African network. I'm stating this an example only. That was my first question. My second question is as follows. I have noticed that operators are missing also. Where are they? Telecommunication operators shall have been here. What is the relationship between AFRINIC and operators? I can't understand. Is this a specific meeting that doesn't involve operators? Otherwise, what's good or what for proposing ideas, if not involving all stakeholders, they will end up forgotten on the shelves. I'd like to close my feedback by reiterating my deepest and warmest thanking for all this opportunity. Thank you. With regard to your question about research, I prefer that SM Finance Co-Chair would answer you. The Finance Committee, and after discussing the budget, it's probably going to recommend an increase of the budget allocated to research. We do agree on it. For that reason, we have planned new initiatives that will be launched soon.
This is an open public policy meeting. It's open to the entire community. Anybody who takes an interest in AFRINIC is welcome here. AFRINIC has more than 1,600 members, and the majority of those are operators. And
Maybe I can answer him. Operators have assisted us during the first days of AFRINIC. They were here present amongst us, but I do think that the AFRINIC policies module is of no interest to them. I'm talking about local operators such as ATA. I'm not African, I know, but being involved in Orange Labs, representing the management of IP address and in charge of all our affiliation in Africa, I know that some operators are truly involved in discussions, but I will make sure that all operators of ISP be present within African community. Very good.
Is I can see there is no activities in the mailing list of AFRINIC Governmental Working Group apart from the invitation to attend the meeting. I would like from you to clarify why. And the other part of the question, what is the role of the telecom regulator or internet regulator to engage in between you and your members? Thank you.
Okay, the first part I will give the floor to the CEO, and I will comment on the second part. Thank you.
The AFRINIC Government Working Group is a forum where we allow government representatives, law enforcement, regulators, policymakers, to interact with AFRINIC in a more closed environment. And we organize meetings, side meetings during the 2 AFRINIC events every year. We also have a mailing list where they are free to discuss anything. It is true that the mailing list is normally quiet. I think if I interpret your comment, you're suggesting that as staff we should try to initiate more conversations on the government working group. So I'll take that as an action. Thank you.
Okay, just to add on what the CEO just said, I think for us as an AFRINIC, the regulator has a key role to play for the development of the internet, which means that we need to work closely to find how we can better collaborate in order to improve development of internet in our respective region. I think for us, we really need to work closely with you as a regulator. Thank you. Arnaud, please.
Merci. Donc, je dirais en français.
I want to clarify, because the question may hide another question. So with regard to the intervention of my colleague from Morocco, have some clarification. I am from research department named Arnaud from Togo. With regard to the participation of Rennes, my university, to the AFRINIC activities are not representative. At the same time, or the meantime, you have seen that AFRINIC sponsors a few events, but it is very present, hardly present to sponsor research events. So I am here sending a call to AFRINIC if you can support us through WACREN. Thank you. would like to rebound on the same question. I recommend the usage of the ANDRAN mailing list in order to inform or to disseminate information. I represent the technical focal point of AFRINIC. That is why I have reached to all information. And fortunately, researchers haven't heard at all about this event, about AFRINIC, as the lack of information. But we do welcome the initiative to involve researchers, students, and even to attend the policy discussions of our AFRINIC.
Okay, thank you, Arno. You asked specifically about WACRIN. AFRINIC did support WACRIN this year. One of our member services staff, the head of member services, was there. I think we also provided some small amount of financial sponsorship. We're happy to do that kind of thing in the future. But we don't always know about events unless you tell us. So please let us know, send email to, let's say, CEO at AFRINIC, asking for support if you're organizing an event, and we will try very hard to support you. Of course, our budget is limited, but within our budget, we will do what we can. Then the other suggestion was about the NREN mailing list. I think I'm going to take that as a suggestion that AFRINIC staff should join the NREN mailing list and send messages or announcements there. Is that right? Okay, that comment was made without using the microphone, so I'll repeat it. The suggestion is that AFRINIC should use the NREN mailing list, or perhaps a local NREN mailing list within the country where we're holding a meeting to inform the academic community. It's a good idea. Thank you.
Mon commentaire, c'était
My comment was about the following facts. First, AFRINIC, with regard to its fees framework, shall think of offering discounts to research institutions and to universities. This can only show the importance of AFRINIC. It shows to education. So I want to thank you for these suggestions. The engagement mode is improving, aiming at providing more results. Thank you. I am a lawyer. I'm from the world of law. So my question is, what's the relationship or the connection between AFRINIC and law? Yesterday we were discussing about the policy of abuse and the mailing resource users when they violate the law. AFRINIC's actions in this case, did you inform the police, or do you have some articles that stipulates your intervention? Is it the police or the justice, etc.? Another comment related to research and universities. So my question, how can AFRINIC incentivize or motivate laws and legislation representatives to attend their meetings in order to disseminate the knowledge of cyber threats and cyber securities? Another comment about the absence of women. Is this a policy, or are women simply not interested in AFRINIC? I am not a feminist, but it is obvious, namely on the executive board. So why? Is it the policy that is a bit close? Or is it simple out of interest from women? Another question about the absence of board members. So if they were absent, why didn't their vices or deputies or assistants attend or replace them? Thank you.
Je veux juste prendre la dernière question sur la présence que tu as soulevée. Je pense que on doit, quand on parle présence, il y a présence ou absence. Ici, ils sont physiquement absents quand on est assis, comme on est assis.
With regard to participation, some have left yesterday, such as Mr. Habib. Others are present online without necessarily attending physically the board. With regard to the presence, female presence, maybe Serge can comment. Within AFRINIC, we provide equal opportunities. There is no discrimination when it's about women. This is as a foundation of our policy. Then my colleagues will comment on this. Yes, lawyers and... With regard to female participation, I would like to raise the fact that we are a communitarian organization. If there is a stronger presence of women, it's going to be reflected in the governance structure. So, Balbine, I'm asking you, next time when you attend an opportunity, do not come on your own. Try to convince 10 other women to join us. And if every one of you here, kind ladies, present in this meeting, convince 10 women, it means that within 10 years we will quadruple the number of females. I think that it's a problem of funds also, because fellowship is also monopolized by men. You have to take into account a female presence at the level of fellowship, basically. Another question, how would you interest women? How do you convince women? You are all men. And it is basically the same question. Is it because you are not interested in inviting women? Hello everybody, we are 3 girls involved in the program of AFRINIC out of 11 as fellowship from universities, and this is quite good. Another girl couldn't attend the meeting. AFRINIC has initiatives to motivate genres. In fact, we have made efforts with regard to fellowship program to ensure a parity. We have even launched the positive discrimination for the interest of girls, although we don't like the principle of the positive discrimination, but we want to encourage girls to take part in our programs. For this meeting, we have planned 6 girls and 6 boys. Unfortunately, one of the fellows had a problem of training that coincides with the event date. Another girl's luggage was stolen in Paris airport, so she stopped her itinerary and the other girl declined. So out of the 6 girls, we have 3 participating here. Another important point, and I think the members of the board have mentioned, is the involvement of females, which is very minimal. Actually, we had registered 61 applications to attend fellowship program out of 700 sent by boys. So I add my voice to the call sent to you, kind ladies, to convince 10 more women and girls for next meetings.
It's very important. Girls, or to better put female, whether girl, whether woman, whether needs to be motivated. I mean, you need to come out. You need to submit applications. When, by the way, we had one, we just unfortunately lost on the board. One again, we had one female, and in the past board there was also a female. But we don't have this much applications from women. So please, you are also welcome to apply as well. There's currently a call for volunteers that is put up. If you know any other person that you think can actually also serve on the board and has the requirements that we are looking for, please encourage them to apply. We would like to see more women on the board actually. And of course, the one about the fellowship has been addressed. Thank you.
Yes. So, Bavin, there's nothing wrong with being a feminist. I'm a feminist. But if you go to AFRINIC's current meeting website, you're going to see something that probably has never happened in an AFRINIC meeting. It's a child support service. I don't think that most of us recognize how important that is, because we're in a continent. It shouldn't be that way. But we're in a continent in which taking care of a child is a woman's job. It shouldn't be that way. But I think that it's significant that in organizing this meeting, we had a child care service. So which means that if a female came in here with a child and told us ahead of time, would have had someone to take care of their child. I think that's one way which I think in the history of attending AFRINIC meetings, we're trying to support, more equality. But the women really do need to show up. That would be great.
It's the same topic?
Yeah, the same topic.
Go
Je vais
ahead.
parler en français cette fois-ci pour l'affaire des femmes au board, je pense.
I don't think that the absence of women is not the responsibility of the board members. You have been elected by the communities, and that's all. But it is the communication department who's in charge to outreach women and to convince them to be a candidate for the board. Actually, last time, Sean has won over a woman last time.
He's trying to bring more lawyers in the AFRINIC meeting, I think I will give the floor to the CEO to address a particular section of your question.
She's saying not just lawyers, professionals. Law professionals.
Thank you for the correction. Law professional. Alan, please.
Law professionals, then I misunderstood the question. I thought the question was about law enforcement, like the police or the cybercrime investigators. For law professionals, I don't think we have a particular program to encourage them, but these meetings are open to all, so if they have an interest, they are welcome here.
If I might say, I guess what she's trying to say is all people involved in law and law enforcement and governments and so, right? So probably is trying to engage those communities in a stronger way.
Okay, may I? Yep. Okay. So I sometimes attend events which are organized by the law enforcement community. So, for example, I've been to a couple of Interpol events where they bring the police chiefs from different areas for capacity building events, and I've attended a few of those, and I speak to them about what AFRINIC is doing, how they can use our WHOIS database to help investigating cybercrime. Because once they have the IP address, they can then find the internet service provider using the WHOIS. I tell them that. I tell them that we have an open policy development process and they are welcome to participate. And I also tell them that we have an initiative to ensure that the contact information in our WHOIS database is always kept up to date. So they do know about us, or at least the ones who attend those meetings know about us.
If I might add a comment based on my personal experience as consultant on this topic, one of the organizations where I am cooperating is Europol. I am not sure if there is an equivalent organization in Africa, but I think it's very important for them not just to understand what AFRINIC is doing, but also to understand the implications of the carrier grade net deployment and IPv6 deployment. That's the specific topics that you may want to tackle with them. So now, going to my question. I am not sure it was the translation, but the previous speaker said something that worried me a lot. And what I understood is, or what it was in the screen, or what I read in the screen, was that the operators were not interested in the policy session. That was right, yeah? Okay. That's really, really, really a big problem. I'm not sure if you would like to do that, but I would love to know, with a show of hands, how many people here is registered in the policy mailing list. So it's just 10% of the people from here? That's ridiculous. It should be mandatory that the people that comes to an AFRINIC meeting register in the mailing list. They will participate or not, but they should be registered. They should be aware of policies that affect them. And that's one of the reasons, maybe in part, obviously not 100% of the fault, that when we come here to the policy session, people has not read the policies, has not contributed, so the presenters of the policy proposals don't have enough time to try to explain all the details to the people. We have a small time for the presentation. Some policies might require just 10 minutes, some others might require 1 hour. That's something that need to be considered. One more topic related somehow to this is, in my opinion, and especially if you read the article that has been published by all the registries, I also sent a copy to AFRINIC, but it has not yet been published, about my experience deploying IPv6 in governments and enterprises, is that there is going to be a change when you deploy IPv6, because most of the people today is just using addresses from their upstream providers. So that means in IPv6 you cannot do that. In IPv4 it's easy because you are behind an NAT, but in IPv6 you cannot do that. So governments that now get addresses from their upstreams, which IPv6 they need to change their mind, and the same for enterprises of all the sizes, okay? And that means that in addition to operators and research and education networks, and of course NOCs, there is a need for AFRINIC to address the ways to involve governments participating in policy making and also enterprises. I mean, what is end users for AFRINIC, okay? I think this is a must because most of the people, even many operators, have not yet realized that the deployment of IPv6 is going to change the way they need to address their customers. And that's key, and that has an influence in the policy-making process.
Thank you. Next comment or question, please go ahead.
Hello, I'm Isha Sukan from La Sentinelle Limited, Mauritius, and I'm an AFRINIC fellow. During the policy discussions yesterday, I noticed that when AFRINIC staff would comment, they made the distinction by saying, speaking in my own capacity and things like that. My question would be, does AFRINIC has an open policy related to staff when they speak on matters related to internet, or do they have restrictions? Because from what I learned from my mentors here as an AFRINIC fellow, it was like, we don't have to remain quiet when it comes to internet. We have to stand up and speak. And we have to challenge opinions, challenge ideas. But in doing so, do we somewhere lose some sort of coverage from AFRINIC, or do we still, even if we are challenging a matter and AFRINIC does not align to that, do they make a separation on that? I don't know if you're getting the meaning, but it's just that do you have an open policy or there are restrictions? Thank you.
Okay, I will address Jordi.
I would like to answer Jordi with regard to the comment. Well, switch to French, to English.
We'll see how best we can implement it. And on the involvement of the government, as you say, you are right. And at this point, as an AFRINIC, we are trying to improve, to see how we can better engage with the government. That is one of our priority. We are working on it. On the question related to the staff speaking on its own capacity, I will give my perspective, and I will, if a member to comment, because it's a very complicated question. But as AFRINIC, as far as AFRINIC is concerned, we have to differentiate AFRINIC Limited and the community. Because when it comes to the policy, it's a community, which means that is open to everyone as a community. It's a bit complex to draw the line between the community and AFRINIC Limited. But when it comes to the key message here is when it comes to policy, is community. At that point, there is no distinction, like saying I'm AFRINIC staff. But of course, when you are speaking, you should not. Although the line is not defined, but when you are speaking, you have to be careful. But at least it's a bit complicated to draw the line. That's my experience to you. I think if a member wanted to comment on that, I will give the floor. Sean, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's not just staff that does it. Other community members. I remember that during the PDP, I also came to the floor and says I'm speaking not on behalf of the board, and a couple of us also did that. It's just a way of differentiating the comments so that when the co-chairs are trying to gauge consensus or are trying to understand the status of the discussion, they can put that affiliation or that weighting to the comment that has been made. It's one thing for the CEO or staff or a staff member to come on the floor and say something about a policy, whether in support or against. It's another thing for the staff to say it on his own personal behalf. Those things have their different weighting, and so the same thing applies to board, and the same thing applies to anybody that wears a hat in AFRINIC or even another organization who is a member of this community. For instance, in the past, as a member of the community, I may speak on my behalf, but I have an organization that I work with. Maybe I should have gotten clearance from my organization before I can speak on their behalf. So it's just a matter of preference. There's no policy, formal policy per se that says that you should not speak this way or not. It's just each person that decides on how they want to speak. Thank you.
Just before you finish, if I may continue on that, because again, I will speak as an AFRINIC fellow because I'm trying to learn new things here. And this part comes as a confusion, because if I stand in the shoes of Ish Sukan, not affiliated to AFRINIC, not affiliated to La Sentinelle, I might have some freedom without limits when I speak on matters related to internet. Maybe I will speak about anti-shutdowns, about governments blocking internet in Africa. But then if tomorrow I say, okay, I'm an AFRINIC fellow, do I have certain restrictions on what I may say? Can I not say anything about that or things like that? So this part is not very clear. It's like one individual, depending on what shoes he's wearing, he will have to like restrict his freedom. Something I can say today, tomorrow I change my shoes, I will have to say something else. So if only someone could give me some clarification on that. Thank you.
Chair, may I? Okay, you know, we can probably take some of this off list, this session, but the main thing is that it's your personal decision to make. You can decide that you're speaking as a fellow. You can even come to the floor and say you're speaking as a fellow. It's also okay to say you're speaking as an individual. It doesn't really restrict you on what to say or what not to say. It is you that know what your restrictions are. For instance, my organization, I cannot speak as my organization if I don't have certain clearance from my organization. And that is why at times you speak as in your individual capacity. So it depends on, it varies accordingly. It's not a process or a policy that has been set by the PDP themselves. But if there is need for more clarification, we can take it offline. Thank you.
Thank you. Oui, merci beaucoup, le président de la...
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I have a comment. Thank you very much for the huge work you have done since, based on my experience, now I can notice clearly major change that can only reflect maturity acquired while holding discussions. Notably, yesterday, the day was 100% positive, translating the maturity and the development each one acquired as an AFRINIC member. Another comment is related today, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's about the implication or the involvement of the mailing list. And that long time the chair requires to approve them. I think that the participation on the mailing list is a personal duty. We can change it into a criteria either of evaluation or to keep someone here. I don't think he is, I don't understand he is saying the participation of mailing list is an individual matter. If people don't participate, maybe they are not interested, and it's not the responsibility of the chairman or the board of executive to react. So I need the clarification. Maybe what I'm saying is not clear, but I know that we need a lot of wisdom during these steps and new measures of participation. Our fight is not to reach a big number of participants. We can even launch it on Facebook, but the quality of the participants. So thank you very much.
Just a small clarification. Maybe I say that I don't remember my exact words. I'm not saying it should be registered anywhere in the mailing list, because that will be against privacy and a lot of regulations. But I really think we should strongly encourage the people that come to the meeting to participate, and especially one of the ways is suggesting them that there is a mailing list where policy proposals are going to be discussed. They may read in advance, but if they are not on that mailing list, they will not know. So maybe it should be through the meeting mailing list to inform them that there is an ongoing discussion on this policy proposal. I agree with you. We should not mandate anyone to be registered with any mailing list.
Pour continuer avec les...
Thank you, Christian. I think there is a problem of ergonomy with the mailing list. I personally think that the way the ergonomy, the mailing list is presented, discourage people from participating. Yesterday, I discussed the possibility of improvement with Jordi, add more conviviality, disseminate the list in a different way in order to motivate people and attract them. Won't say the word push people, but rather encourage them to participate. The other comment mentioned by our colleague from Morocco related to the involvement of academics and researchers in the activity of AFRINIC. Well, I personally work in the research center of AFRINIC for 15 years now. Generally, and this is not a rule, scientists and researchers don't like to participate in regional events. I have noticed that they prefer to participate in a highly advanced event targeting very specific subjects. I can tell you about the experience of partnership and training between the CCK, that is the research of, the operator LISP of the scientific community of academics in Tunisia. So researchers were interested because that kind of training directed them to very specific discussions of so why don't we think of organizing similar events here in Tunisia? And my colleague El Habib can give you more information about our experience. It's a success story, actually. We involved researchers and academics, so we can think of widening the scope of that experience and mix engineers with researchers. Another comment. I personally have, I don't have the resources or the time to participate in similar meetings. I prefer to participate online in a remote way in order to follow some sessions of interest to me. But the quality of remote participation is rather not good. I'm not making any judgment, but I think more efforts are required in order to improve the quality of remote participation. I have an idea about Dakar AFRINIC online and other experiences that I can assure you that the quality is not that good. I am from Ivory Coast and Yasousou. I would like to thank our friends from Tunisia, and particularly ATI team, for their welcoming. This is the second time in less than 3 years. They are making the criteria very high for our upcoming meetings. I also want to thank all the team of AFRINIC. They are continuously fighting for the best of our community. And I would like to underscore the highly agreeable ambience and atmosphere during our works, namely yesterday's on PDP and the discussions on the list. Actually, the basic principle of Internet is a collaborative principle. Best effort shall be provided by each one of us. So this is what we shall keep in mind and practice it on a daily basis. Together, as a community, we have gone through a torment and hard times. But as it is said, nice weather is waiting for us, and highly optimistic for all of us. Thank you.
For giving us this opportunity, and it was a really great debate. This quality of debate was very good, and I look forward to work with capacity building team for the deployment of IPv6 in Mauritius. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we are at the end of the session. But before I close, I would like to thank you all for making time and for all your questions and comments. All the questions and comments have been noted, and as a board, we will work on it and to see how best we can address it. Thank you.